And good morning. Kimberly Hunt, Steve Atkinson here with you. We are coming to you live with breaking news in Southcrest, where 2 San Diego police officers have been shot. Now, since our 11 p.m. newscast, we have learned that one of the officers was taken to Scripps Mercy, the other to UCSD Medical Center.
Well, police are also saying that one suspect is in custody. Our sources telling us that police followed a blood trail, that they got into an altercation with him, that the suspect was shot. They are still searching the area right now, especially a canyon behind that area in Southcrest around 38th and Boston, looking for a second suspect. 10 News reporter Brian Schlonsky is live on scene. He's been there throughout the evening. Brian, what's the latest?
Yeah, and Kim and Steve, since they're still searching this area, police are everywhere. This line about as far as we can go, but a few blocks that way, that's the area you're talking about. That's about 38th and Boston. We're standing at 38th and Beta right now, and from this area, you can see officers from basically every department in this area: National City, Chula Vista, San Diego Police, the Highway Patrol, the Sheriff's Department. They're all out here. We haven't seen many cars leaving since we've been here. And you mentioned that search helicopter. I don't know if you can hear it on my mic, but it's been circling since we got here. Sometimes its light comes on, sometimes it stays off, which, since it's been circling, we know that they are still searching for at least one suspect. We got here just a few minutes, maybe 11:15 or so, and at that point we saw officers screaming to this area. So probably 7, 8, 9 cars or so heading in this direction, passing us on the 5 freeway. And at that point it seemed like nobody really knew where this was happening. Was it at 38th and Acacia up the street? Was it at 38th and Boston? Until that time, you see this. Now you've got cars everywhere, kind of in the road. We've seen officers walking around in tactical gear, in helmets, a lot of long guns out. When we got here at the point, when we were talking about when the cars were screaming past us, it almost was the type of situation you could tell knew something was still going on. At that point, all that was known is that 2 officers had been shot, no information about a suspect. Later, we learned from San Diego Police that they did, in fact, get one suspect in custody, but now that the search is possibly on for others, none of these guys have left. That being said, they have relaxed a bit. We've seen officers kind of leaning a little more. Some people have put their weapons away. And since this has been going on, that's a bit of a change since when we first got here. San Diego Police also sending out some tweets to the people who live in Southcrest and the 38th and Boston area, the 38th and Acacia area, to shelter in place while they look for those suspects. Not a lot of people we saw listening to that. Now it's getting late, so a lot of people have gone inside, maybe gone to sleep. But when this all started, right after 11 o'clock, as they were asking people to stay inside for their own safety, we saw probably close to 50 people out here watching, trying to figure out what's going on. At first, when they heard this was at 38th and Acacia, that's where they blocked us. They put some flares in the road. We saw the highway patrolmen out with long guns, with helmets on, blocking us. After that first suspect came into custody, they let us come a few blocks down the road, and that's where we are here, 38th and Beta, and then a few blocks that way, that's 38th and Boston, where we think all of this took place. So as you heard Kim and Steve say earlier, we know that 2 officers were hit. Talking to folks out here, we don't really know the condition of those officers right now. And as far as a search for another suspect, you said it with the chopper, that we continue to hear circling. The light comes on, the light goes off. The light comes on, the light goes off. So leads us to believe maybe there's still somebody out here, but at this point, we really don't know. Kim, Steve?
Brian, before we let you go, quick question. We know that you talked about people, it's a residential neighborhood, huge police presence, people were watching. Did anybody give you any indication of what took place around 11 o'clock when all this started? Did they hear gunshots? What did anybody know were here?
A few people reached out to me saying that they may have heard gunshots, but they weren't sure what they heard. So nobody confirming that's what they heard. A lot of people were out with their cell phones filming the police. A lot of people, I think, were just trying to figure out what in the world was going on. I want to say that the police probably attracted more attention just being here than anything else. And I told you when we pulled up, the first calls were coming in, we were hearing them over radio traffic near 38th and Acacia. That's where we went, and that's where they blocked it off. That's where there were people, masses of people. Well, this is probably 3-4 blocks down, and Boston now is another 3 or 4 blocks that way. So as far as the folks down there, they probably got a better earshot maybe of if they heard any gunshots, if they heard anything. If in fact it was outside, that's another thing that we're still waiting to hear from San Diego police, whether or not this shooting may have happened in a building, whether it was outside. But one of the things you mentioned, this area being extremely residential, and that's exactly right. We're surrounded, we're standing right now because of all the cars blocked off in the middle of a neighborhood street. If you take a look down, these are all houses. None of these are businesses where we are now. As far as further down, can't say what's down there, but where we currently are standing, this is all residential area. So around 11:15, there were families out with children, a lot of people out, like we said, with cell phones, but these are all families, a lot of people living in the houses around here. And one of the things we noticed as these squad cars started rolling in and blocking off streets, it's kind of cleared up a little bit. And you just turn around and see a dozen police cars, and you say, well, that's clear, but a few of them have left since we've been here, and a lot of residents, though, couldn't get through these streets. And that's one of the things that they've been looking at right now.
Right.
What is it? Oh yeah, so sorry, my photographer was talking to me right now. He's showing some residents here. And one more thing that I've just noticed since we've been on, I told you about the chopper having the light on and off. If you can catch this on camera now, the light's back on. So after that first suspect was caught, this was off for probably 30-40 minutes, and now you see the lights back on. When we started doing this live hit just a few moments ago, that light was off and now it's back on. And sorry, a few minutes ago I was trying to show you there are some residents out here. There were a lot of people out in their cars in the middle of the streets, and they couldn't even pull their cars down the street. So there are a lot of people who were kind of just sitting in their cars parked in the middle of the road because they can't get through here. But like we said, the chopper has the light back on, so that's one interesting thing. Possibly tips coming in, possibly other areas to search, but for the last hour or so, it's basically been circling through this area, through Southcrest, down 38th Street, 38th and Gamma, 38th and Beta, Acacia, Boston, if you know the area. That's where we are, and that's where this thing is searching, and you see the light pointed straight down right now, so not sure really what they're going to find.
Right, because you're painting the picture, Brian. It is mainly residential, and it is so hard, especially with all the residents coming outside, officers from all agencies trying to look in backyards, trying to make a search. They've expanded out to the canyon, and all of those homes nearby affect so many people that live there. There's also the St. Jude Shrine of the West right there on the next corner. So the only thing really among all those homes sits that church. And we know that that search has been going on.